Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to Factorio. Here some more Just the Basics in Factorio 0.16.x. So, last time we set up this whole plastic factory, manufacturing plant, processing yard, whatever you want to call it, really. And our coal is just about finishing filtering it, and we still have had no output here. We are up to just over 1 wagon's worth there, but we rather foolishly perhaps put 3. So on average these are about half done. So yeah, and that's even with this big long line that I added all the way up to the 4 that we have up here. So we might see that go in this episode, but probably not. And ooh, there's 2 more over here. Oh, we're gonna be spread so far and so thin. This is gonna be ridiculous. But in the continuing, theme here of totally unjustified optimism, we're gonna start work on a red circuit lab. Now, red circuits, or advanced circuits as they're more probably known, require plastic bars, which is what our petroleum gas is working towards currently. It requires copper cables, which we can get quite cheaply from the copper that is on our main bus, and it requires electronic circuits. It's also significantly slower. Look at that. That's like 12 times slower than electronic circuits to craft, so you tend to need quite a lot of them. Now, this is going to take a fair bit of space, so let's just get rid of this. And as ever, our benchmark for our craftings here, especially if it's going onto the main bus, is that we must be able to complete 2 lanes. That's the benchmark that we've held for our electric circuits, for our gears, and for our steel. And we might not necessarily be reaching it immediately, but we're going to try at least to build for the future so that we are producing at least those 2 belts. To that end, we're gonna need about 78 factories, and that would be if they were top-tier factories with full modules and full beacons and as such. Also, 4 lanes of green circuits, which means that this is actually one of the things that you tend to, later on in your build, you tend to have an actual kind of satellite factory that is devoted purely 100% to making red circuits. But obviously, we don't have that right now. So yeah, we just have to kind of deal by feeding just the 2 lines in for now. But this will most definitely be upgraded later on. Now, the actual basic structure of this is very much like this one that we have over here for the green circuits. We will call that a mercy. And we are going to need pretty much all of this, because we're going to need our copper cables going into the red circuit maker itself, and then the red circuit maker is going to be receiving 2 items along here, one of which is the green circuits, and one of which is plastic. Fairly straightforward. So we'll just clone that and shuffle it down. And yeah, let's start about there, and let's go to about there. Probably didn't actually have to move our little radars, but oh well. It's fine for right now. And again, we're going to need about 78 of these, just on this tier. This tier, we're gonna need quite a few more, but again, for the moment, we'll deal. So let's just set that to the red circuits, and this is not remotely being built to have beacons involved. We'll save that for down the road when we actually have beacons, and if you're actually watching this series as intended, as a sort of early game tutorial, then hey, you probably don't even know what I mean when I say beacons, so don't worry about it, it's fine. I'm gonna need a whole bunch more of these. Might as well grab whatever's in the box, as it were. There we go. And I'm also gonna need a whole bunch of these. A lot more of those. Dear Lord. Okay. I'm actually not even sure if we can fit all 78 before we collide with our plastic here. So let's figure out how many is going to be down here. Well, it's 76.8. We'll round that up to a multiple of 2 because we've got 2 halves here. So that would be 78 over 2, that's 39 per side. And pretty sure we already have something that's on that order. Let's see, how many is these? 16. It would be double the length of that, give or take. So yeah, we're absolutely going to be colliding here. So we're not going to. So I guess that means that we're not going to be building this to full scale today. But hey, it's probably not even going to be working today. So there's that. Small joys, small joys. Okay, so there is out. Here is in. And let's just differentiate those. So to there. Theoretically, we would ideally have 2 of these, but again, we'll be lucky to have 1 running right now. And we're going to be wanting 2 lines of plastic coming in here. So we can probably do with having... Oh, I was going to say we might be able to do it that, but we can't quite reach that way. Just build it in so we know it's there. There. Okay. Might as well get a light because it's getting dark. He said already in full darkness, more or less. But okay. Can I make some? Yes, I can. Power poles. The most fiddly and most capable of being incredibly ugly part of this entire thing. There. Okay. So, red circuits take 6 times longer, which is why we need so much legwork to get it actually producing at a reasonable rate. And it's also one of the major reasons why you will frequently end up having to put just a complete system, like, elsewhere. Somewhere that is not here, because it will take up so much space. And there are people who are quite comfortable and quite content to build such a thing inside of their main base, and that's totally fine and understandable. I can totally understand why you would do that. It's just not something I personally like to do. Like, I tend, for my base, I tend to think the things that we build at our base should be pretty much for our base, and only really needs to be as much as our base needs. But if our base needs a substantial more, like, value more than that, then we start to build satellites and we have bigger things. But okay. So coming into here, we are going to need both a green circuit line and a line from the plastic, which means we need to actually be combining. Now, there's a few ways that we can do that. Let's just send that to there, bring that in, and we want to add that to there, and shoot that there. And I didn't do this correctly, because I forgot we're actually going to be putting in different lines here. Okay. And then if we add that there, then we can have... No, not quite. Let's see, this is kind of in the way now. I'm just trying to think of how to sneak the plastic in a similar fashion. I'm concerned there may not in fact be such a way. So this might get a little bit messy. So let's actually grab one of these lines. Again, we're preparing 4, because we're going to need 4 down the road, so we might as well start off with 4. Anyway, I try and keep it underground, just for tidiness. Okay, so there's our line right there. So if we take that like so, that should put it only onto this side over here, whereas this is coming in on the other side. Can I take that one further? No, I can't. Okay. So, if and when we actually get some plastic, it should actually come in on that side. So now we just have to hook up the other side of this, and also attach the copper. But yeah, we knew that part. So if we presume that we're going to be doing this in a similar fashion, this will be on opposing sides, so this will be mirrored, but that's fine. We can deal with that. And I'm quite certain that I'm not going to have enough undergrounds to complete this for the moment. Have I got everything else in here? Yes, I do. Okay. Let's get the coal, the copper in. Coal is involved, but not quite for that. Okay, and you want to be starting from there. Oh yeah, I'm definitely not gonna have enough. There we go. Okay, so now we have everything but the plastic feeding in, which is not too huge of a concern. Well, it's actually a pretty huge, major concern, because without plastic we can't make it at all. But, you know, we're working with what we've got here. What we've got is punishingly not very much. But okay, let's try and fit this in. And let's just quickly mark via our map exactly where this wants to turn. So about... not quite there. No, it wants to be turning the opposite way. There. Okay. And there. Handiest thing about ghosts is that they let you actually put markers in the world, essentially. Helpful spooky ghosts. Which in the more recent versions literally have like a ghost icon. With a sheet and everything. It's adorable. Okay. We need some lights up in here, I think, because this is really dark. Really dark. What is this? What is this, a DC Comics movie? There we go. A little bit better. Now we can actually see what we're doing a bit. Which, later on, when we can get such things as night vision goggles, is really, honestly, not that huge of a concern. But, you know, it's something. Anyways, so we could try putting on powered armor on our list, but that's a step beyond what we're even trying to accomplish right now, so it's not really vital. Concrete will be needed for a few different things. You can see here, nuclear power requires concrete. Robotics will definitely come in handy. Electric energy accumulators might... Portable solar panels. Yeah, that is probably honestly our best bet right now. It's, again, because it requires batteries, and batteries route into the petroleum gas issue, again, we can't really make accumulators. But, you know, they're probably something. Or we can just get flight, which is at least a gateway to something else. But the most useful thing that we can get on this list is probably the inserter capacity bonus, because everything else, pretty much, is either worthless to us, or really doesn't help us much at all right now. So, yeah. Let's go with that. Why not? Okay. So these are both hooked in for plastic on separate lanes. They've also got a lane of green circuits coming in, and we can now proceed to clone and expand this. So let's just go to about there. Let's get rid of that. And I usually prefer to try and make these things without the power lines involved, because they tend to be quite messy. But anyways, let's just stretch this along as far as we can go. That's our satellite, as it were, for oil. I'm just getting attacked. Joy upon joys. Okay. So there we go. That's about as far out as we can go before we intersect our own lines here. We could shift these along, but this isn't going to be full length anyways, so it's not that huge of a deal. That's right next door. What was that then attacking? Looks like it was trying to attack the stone mine. Oy. Welp, they're gonna be here a while. Okay. Now this is, like, full disclosure, this is probably going to end up being a fairly short episode. Purely because there really isn't much that I can accomplish until we get plastic. So, apologies if that ends up being the case, but that being the case, let me know, do you actually, would you actually prefer to have more shorter episodes? I had a few people actually, like, happy to see my weird VOD episode, where I was basically just talking over my own content. So let me know, would you prefer a more podcasty style, I guess, where I just film this ahead of time and then talk over it in the edit? Let me know. Always interesting to try and find out exactly what niche people are expecting of you. Or at least would prefer, you know, either way. What kind of style of content do people like? Especially if they're watching you. Okay, I just need power lines and a whole freaking ton of, inserters. And oh boy, I'm so low on power lines. Did I put power lines over here? Yes, I did. Thank them all. That is why we build them all, everybody. So that we don't have to sit around crafting things when we just run out of them once. We can just hop one over, and they'll actually just be sitting right there waiting for us. Of course, again, the mall isn't high outputs, high volume or anything. It's just, it's not efficiency or anything. It's just there, so that it's there when you need it. Another thing I always notice is that I tend to, like, even when I've gotten to the point where I just have robots flying around building everything for me, I tend very frequently to completely remove all of the power lines from my blueprints. The reason for that being that they frequently form lines based on the sequencing in which they were put down, which, when robots are doing it, is all over the place. I don't actually know what kind of algorithm the robots use when they are determining what to put down. But it ends up with the power lines, when they're placed down by robots, being an absolute mess. And, being me, I can't stand it when I see that. So I tend to prefer to just put, I tend to prefer to put these down just by hand. Make sure everything's neat and tidy and regular. This is a thing of beauty to me. I like that. I like all of that. Nice, coherent, recurring, repetitive grids. Looks so nice. But if it's put in by robots, it's an absolute mess. Okay, I think that's everything. So we are once again just waiting on our first shipment of petroleum gas, and then we'll actually have some red circuits to use. There won't really be much. There certainly won't be a full belt, but there might be a full belt of that. But they're not going to be a full double belt of blue, which is what we're aiming for. Which is also considerable overkill here, but, you know. Yeah, we're up to 43 from 27, which means we have gained 16,000 petroleum gas in the span of this one episode. So let's see, 16... Well, let's see, 75 minus 43 over 16 means we'll be there. That's not the right number. 75 minus 43 over 16. There we go. We'll be there in a couple more episodes. But there will probably be some, just some waiting. I will probably wait for the next episode until that is actually, like, produced. And, meanwhile, I will catch you all as ever next time. Have a good one.